Welcome to the Wrexham Coffee Matchup. I'm Dave.
And I'm Courtney. Each week, we'll take a few minutes to catch up on the latest news from Wrexham. From matchups to transfers, on and off the pitch, we'll share our takes on it all.
So grab a coffee and join us.
So thanks for everyone for watching and listening again this week. We had some really nice feedback from the previous episode, and we hope to continue to entertain you as the weeks go on. There was a couple questions as to who are we and why did we get started on this. So we thought we would spend a few minutes just letting you get to know us. But there is a funny story as to why there were no introductions in last week's video. Not to say that we're not professionals, but this was the first time we had ever done this before, as Courtney raises her hand. And we had some issues with some recording techniques, and we're doing this from 6,000 miles apart. That's the other thing, is that I'm in Los Angeles, Courtney's in Switzerland. It's noon here, it's 9 p.m. there. We're trying to do this all on the fly and make it sound as professional as possible. So after we went through the entire recording, we realized that one of our cameras was not on, and so we did it all again. But that's okay. It gives us a chance to spend more time with each other, which we don't get to do often enough. And then Courtney moved to Switzerland about a decade ago. We've stayed in touch, originally through Facebook, then now through an endless text chain that goes on and on and on. But we've been lucky enough to have adventures where we met up in Paris, London, Amsterdam, and now our annual trip to Wrexham. And the annual trip to Wrexham is what really kind of brought the idea for this podcast together.
Dave, a lot happened this week. What is something that caught your eye off the pitch?
So the big news was, I believe on Friday, when Rob Mack made the announcement that there was 10,000 gold jerseys from last season still available, and that he was putting those on sale and donating 50% of the proceeds to the Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust. That's a really nice move from Rob, just kind of mirroring the support that the Wrexham community put into the team when their team was in trouble. And so it was great to see just thousands and thousands of gold jerseys in the stands on Saturday and lines outside of the stores. And I'm betting a lot of international fans were going online and trying to figure out how to buy them as well. So I think it was a great show of support. It's interesting because there was a lot of praise online and a lot of support from people in the social media. There was a little bit of flack from kind of the grumpy old fans who didn't quite seem to appreciate the notion. What did you think of the overall concept of it?
I remember seeing on Blue Sky, someone had posted a screenshot from Facebook about, saying, hey, wear last season's gold and black kit as a way to support this team that's going through something that Wrexham had experienced, quite a while ago. And I thought that was a really nice way to sort of show up for another team. And I think Mark Griffiths said it really well in the commentary on Saturday's match, about how, the sport really is a community. And yes, we face each other on the field, and we don't support each other on the field, on the pitch. But off the pitch, we do. And I think that really is what the sentiment is all about. So it looks like we are in for some more changes in the lineups in the coming weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, so last week we talked about the 9 new signings already. Just this week we had a 10th signing of Callum Doyle, signed from Man City, who's been playing around at different loanouts over the last few years. Another significantly expensive signing, which brings our wage bill up to almost $33 million on transfers this summer. And at the end of the match on Saturday, Parkey said there were 1 or 2 or 3 others that he's still looking to hope to sign before the transfer window closes, which would just be an incredible turnover in such a short period of time.
Wow.
What does that make you think?
Okay, well, it brings up a couple of questions that might be very naive questions. But first up, how many can we have on the roster at the beginning of September?
It's 25, and that includes goalkeepers and anyone over 21 years old. And at the count before Doyle was signed, I think our current roster has about 32 people on it. So maybe 32, 33
so even kind
at
of,
the moment. Yeah.
Okay, so even keeping that out, if we've signed 10 players and looking at 1 or 2 or 3 more, that's potentially half of an entire roster new.
Correct.
That's mind-blowing. I also understand we are in a higher division. We're playing against, much stronger, more difficult teams. So I understand that there need to be changes. You want to bring in players who maybe have experience playing at these higher levels. So I understand that. But then the other question that I have is, you said 33 million, and I haven't looked into the numbers behind all of these deals. Are all of those amounts that we see, the 10 million, the 8 million, the 2.5 million, is that just for the transfer, or is that the value of the deal over X amount of time? Like it might include, up to 10 million at the end of the contract period.
Some of the articles I've been reading, The Athletic does a nice job of kind of going in depth on some of these issues. Is the potential value of the deal is in, say, £10 million. So that might include 8 million over 4 years to the team that they're
Right.
coming from, and then an additional payment if they start a few times or X number of times. If we get promoted again, there might be a bonus. So I think there's all these structures to these deals, and doesn't necessarily mean that we spent £33 million right now. It's that
Okay.
we have a commitment out over multiple years, and then when we sell people on, then that helps us recoup our funds as well. But I think that the one interesting point, that the fact that Parky is still looking to build, I think that message that Rob made at the end of last season, in that he did not believe in consolidation and he really wants to push for Premier League, I think Parky's taking that into the recruitment and trying to pack that all into the summer and trying to get as many as they can. But it's going to take, that just means it's going to take even longer for that team to come and gel and decide who really fits or not.
Yeah. I was just going to ask as well, do you think some of that is a result of what's happened in the last couple of matches? Not just what is that end result at the end of the 90 plus minutes, but how did the team play? What injuries have we had? Do you think that might factor, if you were in Parky's brain, do you think that might factor into all of it as well?
I would agree with you that I think that some of it is a reaction to what has happened on the field in the last couple of weeks. Especially in the second half of each of the last 3 league matches. So I think that's all part of it. Maybe some people have overperformed, some people are underperformed. Maybe some of the new signings will never really see major team time. It's quite possible. Mm-hmm. We've seen that with other signings in the past. They just kind of went under the radar because there wasn't so much attention because we weren't in the championship at that point.
Yeah. So what do you think we need, given the fact that we're looking like we're losing a bit of energy? It would be great for George Dobson to come and wind up everybody's backs. I'm thinking we need young players. But not too young, and who have some good experience. Which is strange to say that means someone no older than probably 25, 26 years old, meaning someone older than that is old. And I can't really fathom that right now, but that's a separate topic.
That is the nature of the game. I think we need that, but I also think we just need more time to gel as a team. I think that over the next week or two, well, we have this match this coming Saturday, and then we have a week off. So maybe that week off will be a very valuable time for the team to spend in practice together and sort of start to learn the partnerships and try to work on them better. So
I think ultimately decisions are going to have to be made for a final roster, and then we'll start to figure out the different partnerships. I don't think there's time for all of it, especially when we're a week away, less than a week away, and still looking at potentially 1 or 2 or 3 more players.
So speaking of Sheffield Wednesday, there was the big match on Saturday. A very disappointing 2-2 draw in the end. What were your thoughts about the match?
It was, disappointing, but only at the end. I was listening to the match while I was out and about with my little one, and I remember writing to Dave and saying, it doesn't seem like it's been the most eventful match so far, only because, Mark and Andy were chatting with each other mostly, just kind of going through some of the history, explaining what was going on with Sheffield Wednesday. And, then we kind of got a couple of moments of energy, of excitement, and I kind of looked at my phone at the replay, and partway through the second half, I had to stop listening, but I thought, okay, yeah, sounds like we're a little bit, less energetic than we were at the end of the first half. And then I looked at my phone a while later and saw the final result. So I think you were watching the whole match, is that right?
Yes, I watched the whole match, and I would say that it was an amazing 45 minutes of championship football. The first half.
45.
The first half. Like you were saying last week, we came out of the gates really on fire. The team was looking really good as a whole. Two amazing goals from Kiefer Moore. Both of them just with lots of energy and enthusiasm. And then the halftime came, and in my mind it was what will the pep talk be to keep us going through the finish line? And the pep talk obviously did not get across. Unfortunately, the defense and the midfield just started to fall apart in the second half, and they never really recovered. But interestingly, you made a comment to me that was kind of, I think, the big comment all the way around, and that was about substitutions. And what did you say about that?
I was just shocked that, why do we need two substitutes only? First, I was a little surprised that we only had two substitutions, and where they were. I felt it was a little bit strange to bring on who they did when, okay, I'm no coach. I'll admit that. I've never run a team other than a fantasy team. But it felt like to have a nice, fresh set of legs somewhere else on the field, maybe in the midfield, might have been like a really nice change. Elliot Lee, for example.
Yeah, and we're still really missing Ollie Rathbone. He would have brought... Yeah. I mean, George Dobson played amazing in the first half, and he really never gave up. But to have someone like Rathbone in who could have done that speed in the second half would have been great. He's still out for a few more weeks with his injury. Wendas, it looks like he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, so we won't be seeing him for a while. So it's going to be a while until we see the whole bulk of the new team working together. We also heard this week that Kakache has been called up to the New Zealand national team, and he was just recovering from his injury in the first match. So it'll be a while, like 2 to 3 weeks, before we see him again. So it's just a very interesting time, and with the cup match coming up on Tuesday, anything could happen. So we'll see what happens.
Do you have any predictions?
I don't know if we're going to put out the same kind of team that we did in the first round cup match, where we see Elliot Lee, where we see Ollie Palmer, we see some of these other folks in more prominent positions. I mean, I'd love to see more of, I definitely would love to see Ollie come out and do what he did again. But it's also been incredibly quiet on the news front, given the fact that the transfer window closes next weekend. And there's the persistent rumors that not just Ollie, but potentially Elliot Lee, maybe Jack Marriott, are all moving on to somewhere else. And if those are true, as a way to get us down to a squad of 25, then will we see them again? And are they holding decisions out to see what they can do for us one last time? Which is it's a sad way to look at it in my view.
Okay, so you are much more into reading the message boards, into following the matches and before and after the matches on social media than I am. I had not heard the potential rumor about Elliot Lee.
I think it's not a real rumor. I think it's a lot of talk. I'm hoping that it's just people liking to play coach from home on the message boards. I have seen articles that Reading is looking at Jack Marriott as a starter for them. And we do know that there have been conversations about whether Ollie will go back to AFC Wimbledon for this season. I personally would love to find a way to keep him with the team, because I think he really could have brought something last Saturday in the second half, especially as Moore was getting battered and bruised. He could have substituted for more and maybe tried to keep the momentum going. So I'd be curious to see what Parky does on Tuesday and how that informs the rest of the week's news and the match with Millwall coming up next Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Ollie, what I have deemed Ollie Watch 2025, trying to see what's going to happen and where he's going to go. I mean, there were a couple of interesting bits on social media this week. His management company, posted a picture of a weekend roundup of his two goals against Hull City. He was, or is, a candidate, I don't know when voting ends, a candidate for player of the round for the Cup last round. He has posted, or maybe it was someone else, and he reposted some photos of him doing commentary on Sky. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of different directions.
Right. I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen. Yeah. So I guess we'll have to keep a watch on Ollie Watch. How about that?
Yeah. But I will say, I mean, I think one thing that we are going to see similar to the last Cup round, there were how many changes from the match the weekend before the league match to the Cup match. There were a lot of changes.
I think it was 11. It was 10 or 11. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say 9, but in any case, a large number of the players were switched up. I think we'll see something similar. I think we're going to see a big change, and I don't necessarily think that it'll just be for the Cup match. I think we're still trying to find what's that sweet spot. What are the starters? Who should be on the bench? There have been a couple of players on the bench that we haven't seen that have been on the bench for several matches. I'm keeping an eye on Jacob Mendy's name, for example. But I think we're going to see quite a few changes for the Cup match. So what's up next for Wrexham? We have a Cup match Tuesday away versus Preston North End, and then on Saturday a league match away again against Millwall. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for joining us this week. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
You can also email us at wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com. All one word, that's wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at wxmcoffeematchup.
From the cop to your coffee cup, that's all for today's Wrexham Coffee Matchup. Keep it brewing, keep it red, and as always, up the town.